Yo, guys, welcome back again today. Today we're going to be talking about Afro Bermudians. Afro Bermudians were brought to the island of Bermuda in 1612. During this time, most of the population was brought from other Caribbean islands. Black Bermudians would be indentured servants to the English settlers. These English settlers were sent out by the Virginia Company. Governor Daniel Tucker would give orders to Mr. Wilmot to go to the island of savages and secure Negroes to die for pearls. This would be the earliest records that the British colonies, eventually becoming the United States of America, spoke of Bermuda and fetching blacks from the island. Originally, English came from Europe and they crashed on the island and shipwrecked, and this is how they found the island. And then after that, the crew created a ship and headed to America and then came back to Bermuda. Irish whites would also immigrate to the island under British rule. The Irish, in whom were somewhat excluded from other whites, would also become servants to pay for their new life on this new island. Intermingling of Irish, blacks, Indians, and other whites would form a mixed group called coloreds, much like in South Africa. In the summer of 1616, Captain George Bargrave, captain of the Edwin, would return to the island of Bermuda. He would return with fruits, plants, special trees found only in the Caribbean, Africans, and other native peoples of islands. The island would start off as an agricultural island. Men who had a high skill of planting in the hot climates would be the most sought after. Diving for pearls and sugarcane growing was dominated by Africans, and these Africans had such experience swimming and growing in hot climates. The Rich Papers, a collection of letters, spoke of how important Afro Bermudians were. Sir Nathaniel Rich's South Hamilton estate relied heavily on their knowledge of crops to prosper. Indentured servitude would not last long, and by 1617, the first slave sentence would happen. Simone was sentenced to be enslaved. The governor would use this slave, and the Somers Isle Company, also known as the London, England Somers Isle Company, would be formed at this time. Nathaniel Rich would have recently came to the island and was a big shareholder investor in the company. I also want to note that Somers Island or Somers Isle was the original name of Bermuda by the English. This chartered company would succeed the Virginia Company. With the population on the island over 1,000 Africans, an act would be passed against the Negroes on the island. This law would forbid them exchanging, selling, and buying goods or tobacco. The only way they could would be with the consent of their master. This would be one of the first laws passed restricting humans by color on the island. The slaves, Negro or Indian, could not carry weapons, their movement was restricted, and trade rights revoked. If any of this would take place, the master would be liable for the action or debt. The original document did not state that Afro Bermudians had to serve for life at first. In the mid-1600s, this document would be changed, and this would change for even indentured servants who now could serve a lifetime of servitude. Slavery would be the lowest level of servitude, with no way to ever be free. The Somers Isle Company would hire an agent to buy and sell slaves. The average price of black slaves was 12 pounds or $14. For 20 years, black slaves were traded and brought in on pirate ships and shipwrecks from the Caribbean and Africa. South American slaves would also be brought in. Sailors would receive one African to sell from ship owners once arriving in Bermuda. For their successful voyage, selling a slave to slave owners in Bermuda would be their payday. Many native blacks and Indians from the Americas, Caribbean, and Africa had Spanish names. This was due to them coming from Spanish-owned islands or Spanish pirates from Europe. Many people were also brought from the United States of America, or what we know now as the United States of America, especially from the New York and Virginia area. Shipwrecks would have crews swimming to the shores of Bermuda. The crews would sell slaves and other goods for passage off the island and a place to stay while on the island. Due to slave conspiracies from the mid-1600s, in 1675 African slaves, mulattoes, and Indians were banned to be imported to the island. On January 1st, 1699, the government published a population report of Africans on the island. At the time, 2,247 Afro Bermudians were recorded to be on the island. This included all peoples who were not white on the island. In 1729, the government of Bermuda cracked down on the smuggling of slaves into the country. This was due to the black population being 3 times bigger than theirs. The only slaves that could be imported were directly from Africa, and the government would put a 5-pound tax on top of the enslaved person's life. In 1730, the government would pass another law exporting free blacks. This was due to the government thinking free blacks were influencing slaves. Free blacks, who were once slaves, would have to leave the island within 6 months, while mulattoes were free to stay. The main slave auction blocks were located in St. George. Once the town of Hamilton was incorporated in 1793, the slave blocks would move there. These auction blocks split families, and a story by the Anti-Slavery Society in 1831 described Mary Prince's experience being sold on the Hamilton block. I will repeat what she spoke of. The vendue master took me by the hand and led me out into the middle of the street, and turning me slowly round exposed me to the view of those who attended the vendue. I was soon surrounded by strange men who examined and handled me in the same manner that a butcher would a calf or lamb he was about to purchase, and who talked about my shape and size in like words, as if I could no more understand their meaning than the dumb beast. I was then put up for sale. The bidding commenced at a few pounds and gradually rose to 57, when I was knocked down to the highest bidder, and the people who stood by said that I had fetched a great sum for so young a slave. As the island grew in diversity of industries, such as shipbuilding and trading, the Bermuda Company realized that indentured servants were not skilled at multiple trades. Slaves would have to be more versatile to meet the demand. Depending on the master's line or interest in a sector, the slave would have to learn how to be competitive in that field. Women would work in such fields as nursing, weavers, cooks, maids, and concubines. The men were masons, boatmen, well hunters, shipbuilders, servants, and many other things. Naturally, due to Bermuda being an island, slaves would eat fresh fish and even favored sea beef, which was humpback whales. Palmetto, berries, barley, puddings, cassava pie, groundnuts, and cakes were also common for the peoples. Since the early 1600s, many enslaved Africans tried to escape. This would be difficult due to the closest island being 700 miles away. Many slaves would be recaptured and given harsh punishments and lashes. Due to debates in Parliament, in 1807, a law by the British government was passed to stop all manner of dealing and trading slaves. Some of the last Africans imported to the island were described by Suzette Lloyd. She speaks of other blacks coming directly from a home she said she only heard of. This is what she had to say. One of these Africans is a female who has her face curiously slashed and tattooed. Another, a man, who lives near us and is one of the most good-tempered, gay, and thoughtless beings in the world. And we must remember at the time, gay meant happy or joyful. Cobb's Hill Methodist Church would be built in 1827 by free and enslaved Afro Bermudians. This would be a place to worship due to them not having a place. Afro Bermudians also have Carnival in Bermuda, but there's another tradition that many don't know of that came from the slaves. Gumbe, or the Gumbes, were slaves who dressed up as masked dancers and drummers to retell the history of the island. It is believed that the word Gumbe comes from West Africa. Till this day, Black Bermudians do this traditional dance festival. Mirrors can be found on the back of the costumes. These mirrors are to scare off evil spirits. Gumbe is one of the only traditions that was passed on due to language and arts being stripped from the people in the harsh life on the island. This high energy performance was looked down on for a long time by the ruling white class on the island. Dancing only once a year was prohibited. If leaders of the Gumbe allowed more than that, them and their group would be banned completely. In more recent years, the tradition is more cherished and a part of the island's culture. Kids also dress up as warriors, while other kids wish to be in their position. A child can become a Gumbe through family. The child can become a captain if the father was a captain. A cousin of a captain's family can also become this as well. You can see the Gumbe in person in September, October, or on Bermuda Day on May 24th. So yo guys, today we learned a little bit about Afro Bermudians. Please like and subscribe. Turn on the bell notification down there so you'll get all my videos. Liking the video definitely helps in moving along the video so more people can see it, and also subscribe so you can get more videos like this. Also check out my African diaspora online NFT art if you would like to purchase it or just check it out. The link is down there in the description. Add me on all social medias, which is Afric Network, which is Instagram, Twitter, SoundCloud, Facebook, Snapchat, TikTok, Instagram. Each one teach one. Always love each other. Always learn from each other. And yo guys, until next time, peace. One love.